Hello and welcome back to Football Daily, where today we are running through 10 players who through injury or non-selection are set to miss Euro 2020. Let's get started. 10. Virgil van Dijk. The least surprising inclusion in our list is Virgil van Dijk, whose attendance at Euro 2020 looked in jeopardy from the moment he tore his ACL in the 6th minute of October's Merseyside derby. He missed 45 games from then until the end of the season, having only missed 4 matches across the previous 2 campaigns. And although he announced the injury was progressing nicely and he expects to be back for the start of 2021-22, Van Dijk said he felt that physically it was the right decision not to go to the Euros. Luckily for Van Dijk, the Netherlands captain won't have long to wait until he can lead his side at a major tournament, with the World Cup taking place in just 16 months' time. With De Ligt, De Vries, Blind, Ake and Ajax youngster Jurrien Timber to choose from, De Boer has some quality alternatives. Despite being drawn in a favourable group with Ukraine, Austria and North Macedonia, the Netherlands will still be nervous ahead of their first major tournament in 7 years. 9. Davide Calabria. Ask any Milan fan and they'll all tell you, Davide Calabria has exceeded all expectations this season. The 24-year-old academy graduate, who has been in and around the first team since 2015, was a near ever-present this term with only Donnarumma, Kessié and Theo Hernandez topping his 2,652 league minutes for the Rossoneri. And whilst a succession of injury issues and some inconsistent form from his teammates might have put their Champions League hopes in jeopardy, Calabria's form remained solid throughout. He completed the 3rd most clearances and interceptions at the San Siro, and completed an insane 101 tackles, 20 more than anyone else in Italy and 7th in Europe. And yet, when Roberto Mancini came to name his provisional 36-man squad, Calabria was left out in favour of Di Lorenzo, Lazzari and Florenzi. Di Lorenzo and Lazzari have enjoyed magnificent seasons, but they are very similar players, whilst Florenzi's form has been inconsistent in an injury-riddled campaign. It seems like England aren't the only nation with a right-back problem. 8. Marco Reus. Whilst Ter Stegen's announcement that he needed to miss Euro 2020 to have knee surgery was a shock, given Joachim Löw's trust in 98 capped Manuel Neuer, he was only ever likely to be a backup. Marco Reus's decision to pull out, however, raised plenty of eyebrows. The 31-year-old missed out on the 2010 World Cup due to muscle problems, the 2014 World Cup due to a ligament tear, and the 2016 Euros too. And yet, on May the 18th, he decided to withdraw from Euro 2020 in order to give his body time to recover after a gruelling season. While surprising, you can see the logic. Reus has missed 22 games with injury since the start of the 2019-20 campaign, and sat out the whole of pre-season last summer with tendinitis, and at 31, he clearly wants to elongate his Dortmund career. At the start of 2021, people would have barely taken notice, but Reus finished the campaign in spectacular form, with 7 goals in his final 11 games, as Dortmund sealed Champions League qualification and won the Pokal. With a summer of uncertainty ahead at Dortmund surrounding Sancho and Haaland, BVB fans will be delighted that Reus is putting club before country this time. 7. Ricardo Pereira. Leicester City's Ricardo Pereira must be cursing his luck, having missed just 6 games with injury across the previous 2.5 seasons. Heading into a clash with Aston Villa on the 12th of March 2020, the former Porto right-back was a shoo-in for Fernando Santos' Euro squad. But unfortunately for Pereira, he ruptured his cruciate and missed 35 games before returning 9 months later. He made 15 Premier League appearances towards the end of the 2021 season, but understandably he struggled to replicate his best form, with his interceptions per 90 falling from 1.7 to 1.4, and his tackles per 90 falling by 31%. His lack of fitness diminished his mobility and he struggled to engage in play, completing just 31 passes a game, down from 56 in 2019-20. This meant that when Santos named his squad to defend their Euros title, he elected for João Cancelo and Nelson Semedo as his right-backs, despite the latter struggling during his maiden Premier League campaign. With a squad brimming with talent, Portugal are sure to be a great watch this summer. Unfortunately for Pereira, he'll be enjoying them from home like the rest of us. 6. Zlatan Ibrahimovic. On the 16th of March 2021, Zlatan Ibrahimovic announced he would be coming out of retirement to represent Sweden, 5 years after calling it a day, and in typically low-key fashion, he tweeted the return of the god. This appeared to make sense. Back then, Zlatan's AC Milan was second in the table, thanks in large part to his leadership and undimmed abilities, with 16 goals in all competitions up to that point. There was an argument, however, that Sweden didn't really need him. In his absence, they had reached the quarter-finals at the 2018 World Cup, their best finish since 1994, and only lost one of their 10 qualifying matches for Euro 2020. But a knee injury picked up against Juventus on the 9th of May saw Zlatan miss the rest of the season, meaning that Jan Andersson was forced to pick Isaac, Quaison, Berg and Jordan Larsson, Henrik's son, in his place 10 days later. Zlatan tweeted a video of him on an exercise bike the next day with the caption, "It's not over until I say it's over." Well mate, I'm afraid it is. 5. Erling Halland. Unlike the majority of players on this list who missed out due to injury issues or simply non-selection, Erling Halland is not going to be at the Euros because his nation failed to qualify. Despite boasting a squad containing RB Leipzig's Sorloth, Real Madrid's Odegaard, AC Milan's Horg, Celtic's Ajer and El Yunusi and Everton's Josh King, not to mention Haaland, Norway didn't deliver. The reason why is quite simple. They drew 5 of their opening 10 qualifying games, including both of their matches against Romania. And it's fair to say Haaland has to take his fair share of the blame. Whilst his strike partners King and Sorloth managed 9 goals between them, and 7 other teammates found the back of the net, Haaland failed to score in the entirety of qualifying. For a man who has shaped his fearsome reputation off a series of magnificent Champions League displays, which has seen him net an extraordinary 20 goals in just 16 games, more than Andy Cole and Ronaldinho in their entire careers, his lack of success was slightly baffling. If Norway are to reach their first World Cup since 1998 next November, they'll need Haaland to start replicating his lethal club form. 4. Iago Aspas. Whilst another omission might have garnered more headlines, more on that later, Luis Enrique's decision to not bring Iago Aspas to the Euros felt unjustified. Initially prominent during Enrique's first stint in charge, the 33-year-old hasn't been capped by his country since 2019, despite some magnificent performances for Celta Vigo. The former Liverpool player has racked up an incredible 103 goals in 198 La Liga games since joining from Sevilla in June 2015, earning himself superhero status in Galicia. Despite playing for a side that finished just 1 point clear of relegation this term, Aspas contributed 14 goals and 13 assists, 73% of Celta's total goals, and a figure topped only by Messi, Benzema and Moreno in La Liga. Whilst it's difficult to argue that Oyarzabal, Morata, Moreno, Dani Olmo or Pedri don't deserve their places in Enrique's 24-man squad, Adama Traore and Pablo Sarabia can count themselves lucky. The Wolves flyer endured a season to forget at Molineux, failing to score until early April, while Sarabia ranked 18th in PSG's squad for minutes. With only 3 players, Morata, Aspas and Torres, boasting over 6 international goals, we feel like Aspas would have been a useful addition. Sadly for him, his final moment for La Roja at an international tournament will be a penalty miss against Russia in 2018. 3. James Ward-Prowse. The build-up to Gareth Southgate's squad announcement on the 1st of June was dominated by talk that Liverpool's Alexander-Arnold was set to miss out. In the end, the 2-time PFA Team of the Year member was selected alongside Walker, James and Trippier, meaning that Southgate was forced to drop 6 players after Greenwood pulled out with injury. Of the names omitted, Man United's Lingard, who averaged a goal contribution every 110 league minutes on loan at West Ham, and Southampton's Ward-Prowse caused the most controversy. But with Lingard having played on the wing, as a second striker or even as a number 9 during his time in East London, it was no surprise he failed to displace any of the established England forwards. Ward-Prowse was a different story however. Although the Saints faded badly towards the end of the season, with no side picking up fewer than their 14 points in 2021, their captain did not. He finished with 8 goals and 7 assists in 38 games, and played the 4th most minutes in the entire Premier League. And so when Trent picked up his tournament-ending injury against Austria, many expected Ward-Prowse to be named as his replacement. But with Harry Maguire continuing to struggle to injury, Southgate called up Ben White instead, who had shone in the final warm-up game against Romania. Forced to choose between being short in midfield or defence, Southgate chose to reinforce the latter. Let's hope he doesn't live to regret it. 2. Tanguy Ndombele. With 9 World Cup winners left out and the likes of Upamecano, Konate, Fofana, Aouar and Camavinga representing the under-21s, Didier Deschamps' squad was as usual fraught with controversy. Whilst many people were questioning the inclusions of Digne, Lenglet and Zuma given the quality in those positions, midfield is where Deschamps came in for the most stick. Adrien Rabiot made it despite an incredibly underwhelming campaign at Juventus, whilst Moussa Sissoko's inclusion after playing under 120 minutes from the end of March was baffling beyond belief. But for us, Tanguy Ndombele's exclusion was the headline. The 24-year-old has struggled to impose himself on the international scene thus far, competing with the likes of Pogba, Kante, Tolisso and Camavinga, and he's only been capped 7 times. But in our opinion, a player capable of completing 3.2 dribbles per 90 in congested midfield zones would have been the perfect option to change a game late on. Just 107 league minutes in 6 games under Ryan Mason seems to have scuppered Ndombele's chances of going to a first major tournament. 1. Sergio Ramos. Whilst eyebrows were raised over Ndombele's exclusion, the whole football world was left aghast by Luis Enrique's decision to omit Sergio Ramos, the most capped European footballer of all time, with 180 appearances under his belt. The facts are simple. Sergio Ramos has had terrible luck with injuries, playing just 61 league minutes since the 9th of January, and looking way off it during Real's 2-0 defeat to Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. He failed to play 2,000 league minutes for just the second time in the last 12 years, with 11 Real Madrid players topping his 15 La Liga starts. But having won 2 Euros, a World Cup and 22 domestic trophies, surely he was worth taking in any case. Especially when you consider the fact that former Barcelona coach Luis Enrique ignored the likes of Mario Hermoso and Nacho and instead picked Eric Garcia, a player trusted by Pep to make just 3 Premier League starts this season. Having become the first manager to choose fewer than the allocated 26 players to ensure squad unity, Luis Enrique is certainly doing it his way. We hope for his sake it works out. So those were our 10 players who will miss the upcoming Euros, but do you agree with us? Do you disagree? Have we missed anyone out? Let me know in the comments below, and who is going to win the Euros? Let me know down there as well. If you want to see more quality content like this, then click on screen right now, drop us a like, and as always guys, don't forget to subscribe to Football Daily.